You know how one day you're like renting movies from a physical store and then suddenly that whole industry is just gone?
Yeah, it just vanishes overnight.
Right. It feels like magic or maybe some natural disaster, but there is actually a mechanical blueprint for that chaos. So today we are doing a deep dive into exactly how new tech wipes out old industries.
And how societies actually survive that upheaval, which is the really fascinating part.
Exactly. We are using some really fantastic class notes from a student named Helen Borges. They cover the theories of this early 20th century economist, Joseph Schumpeter.
And Schumpeter, I mean, he completely flipped how we view the economy. Before him, economic models basically treated the market like this calm, static pond.
A pond where nothing really changes.
Right, but he argued it is way more like a churning ocean. It's constantly being disrupted by one specific agent, which is the entrepreneur.
Which is funny because Schumpeter himself was a bit of a disruptor, right? His biography is pretty wild.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, he was this brilliant Austrian finance minister who actually went on to bankrupt his own bank in the 1920s.
Yeah, not exactly a great look for a finance guy.
No, but I mean, his theory is undeniable. He talked about how the entrepreneur introduces these new combinations.
Right, so if you think about the invention of the digital camera, the entrepreneur didn't just invent a slightly better roll of film.
They completely bypassed film altogether.
Exactly. And by doing that, they weren't just passively responding to what consumers wanted. I mean, people weren't asking for digital sensors. They didn't even know what those were.
They had no idea it was even an option.
Right, so Schumpeter believed the entrepreneur's true superpower is intuition. It is this ability to foresee and actually mold consumer desires before anyone can even articulate them.
But wait, to build something totally untested like a digital camera, they need serious money.
Oh, yeah. That is why Schumpeter emphasized that credit is the absolute lifeblood of innovation. You just can't build the future without someone financing the disruption.
Okay, so if this visionary entrepreneur gets the credit and creates this totally new digital world, what happens to the massive chemical processing industry that supported traditional film?
Well, they don't just quietly retire.
Right, they get completely wiped out.
Yeah, they get annihilated.
Hmm.
And that friction is what Schumpeter famously called creative destruction. He wrote about this in his 1942
That
book.
capitalism, socialism, and democracy, right?
That's the one. He said the death of the old isn't just a sad side effect, it is an actual structural requirement for progress.
Because you physically cannot scale a new infrastructure without pulling capital and labor away from the old stuff.
Exactly. You're pulling attention away from the old physical media to fund the new streaming video or digital photos.
But wait, doesn't that constant destruction mean capitalism is just inherently unstable?
Well, that is a huge debate.
Right, because the notes mentioned Schumpeter was heavily influenced by Karl Marx on this point. Like, he actually got pretty pessimistic about capitalism surviving long term. If we are always tearing down the house, doesn't it just collapse?
So, Schumpeter did share Marx's view that capitalism is highly volatile, but he interpreted the outcome totally differently.
How so?
Well, Marx saw the volatility as a fatal flaw, but Schumpeter saw it as the vital engine. The constant threat of destruction is the only thing keeping massive monopolies from stagnating.
Oh, I see. A giant corporation can't just restrict production and artificially hike prices forever.
Right, because they are forced into this historical dynamic. They must innovate or they will be destroyed by the next entrepreneur.
That makes sense for the companies, but what about the actual people?
Yeah, that is the human cost.
Right, because if creative destruction is this chaotic and entire industries are getting vaporized, how does a country actually support this continuous upheaval without descending into total economic ruin?
Because entrepreneurs cannot survive in a vacuum.
Exactly.
And modern economists, they're often called neo-Schumpeterians, they looked at this exact chaos. They realized that for a society to survive it, they need what is called a national innovation system.
Okay, so based on the notes from researchers like Felipe and Filio, that means innovation requires this massive, complex web of institutions.
Right, to absorb the shock of the new.
Let's unpack how that actually works for you, the listener. It means innovation isn't just some lone genius tinkering in a garage.
No, definitely not.
It is the university system that trained them to understand digital sensors in the first place.
And it is the legal framework protecting their patents so they can actually secure that crucial credit we talked about earlier.
Oh, wow, right.
Plus, it is the government safety nets and retraining programs that step in when the old industry suddenly collapses.
So when those film processors lose their jobs, those institutions step in to prevent total economic ruin.
Exactly. They buy time for the workers to transition into the newly created digital economy. Without those adaptive institutions, radical new technologies would face massive, organized resistance.
Right, from displaced workers and legacy companies fighting back. So the system basically molds the environment so society can actually stomach the disruption.
Yeah, to truly grasp the modern economy, you really have to view it as an evolutionary process.
You have these disruptive visionaries driving the change, and then these supportive institutions working tirelessly to keep the whole thing from spinning out of control.
It is a constant, delicate balance between tearing down the obsolete and building up the new.
Which leads to a really provocative thought raised in Helen's future research notes for you to ponder.
Oh, the sustainability question.
Yeah, given the constant, ruthless churn of creative destruction, what are the actual challenges of promoting sustainable economic development?
This is a huge paradox.
Right, when the very nature of progress requires aggressively tearing down what is already there. How do we innovate without exhausting the resources we need for tomorrow? Just something to think about next time you stream a movie.